Hey there, fight friends. We are lucky today. We are joined by Mel Zeman, a professional mixed martial artist out of British Columbia via Australia, or I guess it's from Australia via British Columbia. And she's fighting this weekend at Anthony Pettis 21 in Albuquerque, New Mexico. Mel, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
So it's interesting. I've always sort of known in the back of my mind that you're Australian, and I've seen some of your social media posts, which I think are pretty funny, actually. And you always have your Australian accent, but when we talked today, and you talked to me with an Australian accent, I don't know why. For some reason, I was still taken aback. I was a little bit shocked.
Yeah, I think actually, it's funny. I went back to Australia quite recently, and I landed and went to get a coffee, and the first thing someone said to me was, "Where are you from?" And I was like, I'm from Australia." So I guess, after a couple of years in Canada, a couple of years in Thailand, like the accent has slightly changed.
Yeah,
So doesn't quite fit in Canada, doesn't quite fit in Australia anymore. So I'm slowly getting the Canadian twang to it, I guess.
I think what they say it's a world accent that you have.
Yeah, global accent. I like that. That's better than saying,
Yeah.
the harsh old
Well, I
Australian
like global
accent,
too. Yeah,
right?
yeah, for sure. So, what's your story, Mel? Tell us about how you got from Australia to here.
Yeah, so it's a bit of a funny one, actually. My partner and I spent a few years in Thailand, and anyone that knows me knows that I have quite a large dog named Tyson. Um, he's a key feature of this story. I'm not just bringing that up for fun. Um, fun fact. But yeah, so we had our dog Tyson with us in Thailand for a couple of years, and at some point we were looking to move on from our life there and looking on to what's next for us. And Australia is actually very strict in terms of bringing dogs back into the country and things like that. And so we started looking at kind of globally. Okay, well, what's our other options as Australians? Where can we get good visas and where we'll accept our big dog? And so we have this kind of crazy story of flying from Thailand to Vancouver, Canada, where we'd never even been before, to move our entire lives with our dog kind of in the cabin of the plane. And so we like to say that we make major life decisions based around our dog. And um, yeah, we've been here for 4 years now and absolutely love it, and I'm really proud to call Vancouver home.
I think you skipped over one of the most important points. And what kind of dog is Tyson?
He's a French Mastiff cross, so about
Whoa,
110 pounds, big goofy boy.
big boy. I love mastiffs.
Yeah.
So, how is it? I mean, you had lots of opportunities, especially from Australia as part of the Commonwealth. Canada, definitely an option. How did you pick not only Canada, but how did you settle on British Columbia?
Yeah, it's funny. We joke that we looked at Canada and said, "What's the warmest place?"
Mm.
Um, so that's how we started. But I think it was just um, we were looking at flight paths and where do we want to live, and for so many reasons, right? Like Vancouver is so beautiful. The opportunities here, obviously being close to the States, helps with fighting. The
Hmm.
visa pathways for Australians, the pathway to import the dog, kind of all inform that. But also just Vancouver is such an amazing, wonderful place. You can
Hmm.
go 15 minutes to the snow, 15 minutes to the water, and it's just, you can't really get that lifestyle anywhere else. And so we're incredibly privileged that we, a bit of a happy accident that we said, hey, where should we be? And we happened to, land in North Vancouver of all places. So.
Great. Well, tell us about your martial upbringing. So, how did you get interested in combat sports, and how did you get started in your training?
Yeah, so it's a little bit like the just kind of making big decisions around the dog, or kind of these big decisions in my life that I just seem to fall into. But I was 17 years old and I said, "Hey, I want to try a kickboxing class. That sounds fun. No real
Mhm.
reason other than just, hey, maybe punching things might be therapeutic." Um, and I'm sure a few people can relate, right? And walked into an MMA gym. I had no idea what MMA actually was. I had no idea what jiu-jitsu was. And my first ever class was an advanced jiu-jitsu class. And
Mm.
it was someone being like, "Hey, this is God." And I was like, "This is not kickboxing." So tried it, loved it, fell in love with it, and just every single day since, it's just been a part of my life. So as soon as I kind of walked into that gym, it just lit this absolute like passion or fire that's followed me for the last 10 years.
It's funny how I had my own jiu-jitsu experience, my the way I got into jiu-jitsu. You had yours. Everyone who's listening to this probably is very similar, but I find there's one or two stories will happen when you have your first jiu-jitsu class. You finish your class and you look at yourself in the mirror and you go, "What the hell just happened to me? I can hardly wait to come back." Or you say, "What the hell just happened to me? I'm never going back again."
Yeah, what was
I
that?
know.
Totally. Yeah.
So how did you get your first fight, an actual MMA fight?
Yeah, so I was training a lot out of the gym, and I'm kind of come from this idea of the hard work speaks for itself, and I thought this is something that I see other people in the gym doing. So if I kind of put my nose down and work hard, and have that chat with my coaches, I'll get that opportunity. And so in 2016, I was 18 years old, and um, had my first MMA fight. It was really like no jiu-jitsu comps, no kickboxing, no anything at the time in Australia. We didn't even have a commission.
Mhm.
So, my first ever fight is considered a pro MMA fight. Like it was just, go in there and fight someone basically. But yeah, after about 18 months of training, I was 18 years old and just like loved it so much that I was really passionate about doing it and had that opportunity. So it's been a really cool journey since.
That's great. What's your training scenario like in BC? You're in Vancouver, I'm guessing. So where do you train, and what's your training week look like?
Yeah, so I train out of Universal MMA in North Vancouver under Dayan Kajic.
Yep.
So anyone that's familiar with Dayan knows his kind of style of striking and very technical, very precise. Best coach I've ever had. Really, holds everyone to a standard and lifts up the people around him. So in terms of my normal week of training, it's under the guidance of Dayan, really focusing on all of the technique, all of the skills that I need, and all of the people at Universal MMA that are kind of, surrounding as training partners, lifting each other up together to kind of get through this week of being really precise and technical and really skill driven. So as well as Universal MMA, I've been training with Asa Polani for
Mhm.
wrestling. I like to get beat up by his group of very talented high school kids that he teaches out in Surrey. So
Mhm.
yeah, and then also I've got some great training partners that come down from Squamish, training with Jamie
Jamie
Horth,
Lynn Horth. Yep.
um, yeah, who people are familiar with, and yeah, we kind of have this like MMA group that comes in on a Saturday at Universal MMA, and we put together some absolute beasts on the mat and have a bit of fun on a Saturday morning. So.
Mhm. It's interesting how you're very similar when it comes to female mixed martial artists, in that a lot of time high quality, high caliber female mixed martial artists get a lot of their training from males because it's just the way it is, right? There's a lot more men that train the sport. There's a lot of girls are it's gaining popularity, but
Yeah.
to face what a male can give you with the endurance and the strength and all that kind of stuff. Do you find that's beneficial to you improving as a fighter?
Yeah, absolutely. I think whoever can share the mats with you is always a privilege. Whatever skills kind of come. I think everyone contribute something, whether it's a first day beginner in the kind of way that they move to
Mhm.
someone that's a professional, man or woman. I'm actually very lucky and privileged at Universal. We have a lot of great female mixed martial artists, and some ones coming through the ranks. So at any given time, I'm sharing the mats with
Mhm.
probably the highest percentage mix of females to males that I've ever had in my career, which is really awesome. So that
Mhm.
Saturday MMA is, a lot of talented women on the mats as well. But in terms of the guys, it's just I think more than anything, it's as long as you can get a similar weight class, that's the most important thing.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's been really good actually. Yeah.
So you talked about your love of jiu-jitsu. What's your favorite part of training now, or what's your favorite aspect of fighting?
Definitely boxing. That's always going to be, the closest to home. I think I said I started with this kind of idea of, oh, I want to try some kickboxing. And that's just stuck with me throughout the entire process that, this kind of boxing and striking arts is really what I love the most.
Yeah, it's very similar to the story of Gillian Robertson, Canadian UFC fighter. That's how she started off. She went into a gym and wanted to try kickboxing class, and look at her now. She's one of the best fighters in the world.
Yeah, absolutely. I'd
So what
be
are,
hopeful to follow in those footsteps.
what are your long-term goals, or do you have any yet for fighting?
Yeah, I think everyone has in the back of their mind, obviously, how far can I take this? Is it the UFC? Is there something that I can see myself progressing in. I try not to focus too much on this kind of big picture when I have a competition coming up this week, because it's really just about, this one that's coming up, and focusing on performing my best and being my best for that. But there's always that voice in the back of your mind that says, the UFC is the ultimate goal, right?
Yeah. It's funny, another very well-known Canadian mixed martial artist, Jasmine Jasdavicius, she fought in the last UFC Vancouver card in the fight night just a couple months ago. And post that fight, she had an interview and she said something like, I'm just paraphrasing here, but something along the lines of, at a certain point in your career, you tell yourself or you imagine yourself, yeah, I could be a world champion someday. And then eventually you keep on plugging away, you keep fighting and winning fights and doing well and learning. And then you would say almost the same words to yourself, but they have a different meaning. At that point, later on, you can say to yourself, I can make something out of this. I can be a world champion someday. And that's that switch when you can make that realization that's an actuality. I'm wondering if you've had that realization yet, or is that something like you're still going to see how it goes?
I think it's a little bit of both. It's almost like I like to train and compete to a standard where that switch has flipped. I'm taking my training seriously to the point where I'm saying, I'm a professional and I need to take it seriously as such. And um, everything that I do throughout my week is built around supporting this idea that I'm a professional at this and that I can be a world champion at this.
Hmm.
But at the same time, removing those expectations of a goal of being a world champion, and just saying, well, what is the best version of myself that can evolve? This, I can continue on this forever, continuing to chase that
Hmm.
best version of myself. And the best version of myself very potentially could be a world champion. So if I keep reaching towards the best version of myself, that goal can be within reach. But rather than focusing on that as a particular goal, I'm just always focused on the evolution of taking it seriously and becoming
Hmm.
the best fighter that I can be. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great attitude to have.
Yeah. Thank you.
What's your week look like? I know you work, so you train part time, but what does a work week look like to Mel Zeman?
Yeah, so I work 9 to 5. Actually, I have a separate career. I'm a marketing manager as well. So it's a lot of early mornings. It's a lot of late nights. It's a lot of sacrifice. On the part of my partner to not have as much time with me as he would like, and my dog Tyson, who features a lot, doesn't quite get as much time of mine that I would like. But it's Monday mornings at 6 a.m. getting up and getting that strength and conditioning in, and then traveling to downtown, working, and then, carrying my things with me and getting straight on the bus and going to the kickboxing class and catching the bus home with everything on my back. And, it's
Hmm.
a grind, but I think one of the best parts of being someone that's so busy is that it really, you know, means that a lot of the discipline that I have to have, a lot of the organization skills, and a lot of just being thankful for that time that I do get on the mats
Yeah.
really comes to the forefront for me. So, one of the best things that I've ever done for my career has been, working 9 to 5, which sounds like a bizarre thing to say, but it really reminds me that it's a privilege to train, and every moment that I get on the mats,
Hmm.
no matter, how much of a grind the day was, you can just kind of leave it at the door and get to do this thing that ultimately I chose to do and get to enjoy every
Hmm.
day. So yeah, the week is busy. The week is pretty jam packed. But that's a good thing ultimately.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right. Uh, I was interested to hear you just say you're a marketing manager. I didn't realize that. Had you ever have you ever had a conversation with yourself about marketing yourself? I know you do some really funny social media that I enjoy. My favorite one that you did is, I think it was from a couple months ago, or maybe it was a year ago. I don't remember, but it was like, uh, f- watch what I eat in the day as a whatever, and then at the end it's just like cut right to a scene. Yeah, I was too busy. I didn't film anything. That was pretty funny.
Yeah, I like to do, actually, the recent ones we've been doing is my partner and I have been picking like $1 records and
Yeah.
kind of listening to it and having a bit of joy out of that. I do think that, you know, there is an opportunity for me to market myself a little more. And I know that that's important in the sport as it currently is. It's definitely something that I'm looking to explore a little bit more and maybe gain some sponsorships and things. But at the moment, with my week looking like it does, it's just about the time that I have to be able to do that. So I would love to engage a little bit more, and I like making those kind of
Mhm.
silly posts without the pressure. And hopefully maybe some sponsorships are coming down the line, and I can partner with some people that I'm passionate about to do those kind of funny content things. But um, at this point, it's yeah, just a kind of an unexplored opportunity, I guess.
Do you and your partner have similar tastes in music? Yes or no? And also, what has been the diamond in the rough vinyl album that you found personally so far?
Yes, we definitely have a similar taste in music. Definitely on the heavier end of the spectrum. So listening to these old vinyls is kind of funny. It's a little departure from our regular listening. The diamond in the rough has been James Taylor's Flag
Yeah.
Side B. Um, Absolutely incredible album. And follow up is Marshall Tucker Band has been a great discovery as
Mhm.
well. Yeah.
I'm not too familiar with Marshall Tucker Band. I think I've heard the name, but I'm not sure I've heard anything. But James Taylor, for sure, is a classic. He's such an incredible musician, and I don't know if you know, but he went through a whole bunch of struggles with substance abuse too. I think he was with Carly Simon for a while, and they broke up because of his drugs and whatever. But just absolutely fantastic vocalist and guitar player.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of storytelling on that
Hmm.
side B, the Flag album, so we love it. Yeah.
What music are you going to walk out to this weekend?
Walking out to Norma Jean, A Small Spark versus a Great Forest. Norma Jean is a metalcore band that I've had the privilege of seeing live and is probably my all-time favorite band. So I'm very excited to be walking out to them.
Did you say they're a medical band?
Oh, sorry, a metalcore. It's the accent. See, it's
Oh,
coming out. A
sorry.
metalcore. Yeah.
Okay, that was
Yeah.
my Canadian ears. That's my fault. I apologize.
Language
I was like,
difference.
here's a new like musical genre I've never heard of, but I believe it.
Medical. No, no, no.
Okay, what? So who's going to be coming down with you? I'm guessing Dayon.
No, so actually, one of the other kickboxing coaches in the gym, Zach Shepherd, is coming
Hmm.
down with me. My partner's going to come down, and gets the fun job of watching me cut weight. So that's
Yeah,
his responsibility to bring me the sweat towels and the ice chips. But yeah, Zach and I have been working together as well. There's a great team at Universal. There's so many great people there that really invest into each other. So we all kind of come together to support as we uh, get to these fight weeks. So
hmm.
I'm really excited.
Well, let's talk about this weekend. You're fighting Kylie O'Hearn. You're fighting her at Anthony Pettis' show in Albuquerque. It's interesting, as you follow fight trends and watch different Canadian fighters explore opportunities in the United States. It's not often you see Canadians at APFC. How did you get involved with that organization, and how did you get signed? Or I guess signed for this fight anyway.
Yeah, so my management that I recently signed with is KO Reps out of, I think
Mm.
they're based in Montreal,
Yeah,
the Canadian branch. And so I'm, privileged to have that opportunity to work with, coming into a management now who's helping me source these kind of great opportunities. Yeah.
that's great. Yeah, I know the K-Rups guys. They're very enthusiastic and they really enjoy supporting their fighters.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been great working with them so far. So I'm kind of excited to see the future, unfold. And yeah, a great opportunity with APFC. I really, really privileged to get that opportunity.
Kylie O'Hearn, when you heard that name, did you know who she was, and what did you see when you looked into her that made you think you can beat her?
Yeah, so I got offered originally at 135. So this is a catch weight bout. Ultimately, I'm looking to move down to 125. I've had a couple here in Canada at 130, and we just seem to keep falling into this catch. I guess for females, it's a little bit harder, obviously, to kind of find
Mm.
these opportunities, and so we tend to bounce around our weight classes a little bit rather than sticking to the one, just so we can take these opportunities. Um, so heard it at 135 originally, and said, if we can make it at 130, let's make it work. When I was taking a look at her, I see that she's a kind of longer, taller, real brawler. And that's something that excites me. I think I'm looking to have, like a little bit of a striking battle and kind of enjoy getting in the pocket and things like that. And getting into the brawl is something that, I love so much and find fun about fighting, is just being able to kind of throw hands and enjoy that. So when I watched her fight, I thought this is going to be a great opportunity to just have an all out 15-minute battle.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I've only had the pleasure of seeing you fight in person once, and that was at BFL 81. I made the trip out to Vancouver. You won that fight by decision. And one thing a couple things I took about your fighting style from there, but one thing was that it seemed like you had inexhaustible cardio. Is that a trademark of yours, and is it always like that for you?
It's definitely something that I've focused on the last couple of years. My strength and conditioning coach is Sean Kober. I first met him in Thailand at Tiger Muay Thai. He's kind of most renowned for being Peter Yan's strength and conditioning
Mm.
coach when Peter had his championship run. And he was someone that he's Australian as well. And so we immediately kind of connected and got along well. And he has an incredible background. He's actually a great person to kind of talk to and understand his history. And he's just got this same level of, continual education, continual evolution. And he
Mhm.
likes to educate his athletes on why we're doing certain things and undertaking certain things. And I think that's really helped me level up, especially my cardio and my strength and conditioning. And so when I moved to Canada, he's someone that I actually, continue to work with virtually. And I'm incredibly, grateful that he still is able to do that for me. So we kind of, connect once a week and things like that. And it sounds funny to say, oh, my strength and conditioning coach doesn't even live in the same country as me, but we've got a history of working together and I understand his programming and it seems to be, really working for me. So I'm
Right.
excited to display that as well. I feel like every camp I do with Sean, we kind of level that up a little bit more. So
So I'm going to pose a scenario to you now. It's this Sunday. You're fighting on a Sunday, which is kind of unusual for us. So the fight is over on Sunday. You've won your fight. You wake up Monday morning and you're reflecting on the day before. What was the perfect fight? What did the perfect fight look like for Mel Zeman that allowed you to win that fight?
yeah, I think that again, just that same theme of focusing on the best version of me, what does that look like? And it's I think a really disciplined performance across 15 minutes, really technical striking, continuing to compete with total commitment. And yeah, like I said, just disciplined technique on my striking, I think is the perfect fight for me.
Wonderful. Well, Mel, that's it for me. I'm wondering if you have anything you think that I should have talked about. I should have brought up to you.
I think we've covered a lot.
We
Um,
have.
just just I always want to express to my camp and to the people that work with, whether it's Sean, my strength and conditioning coach, Mike, my mindset coach. I have great managers with KO reps. I have a dietitian with the fight dietitian. Obviously my partner and my dog, who are main features as well.
What's your
At
partner's
camp,
name? Sorry,
Adam.
Adam.
Adam and Tyson, I just express always when I get to the end of a camp the gratitude that I've had for the investment that everyone has in me and the time that they have for me over the last, not only the 8 weeks, but the many years that I've known all these people. I feel like this is one of the camps where everything's really coming together and I'm peaking at the right time. And it's an incredible privilege to not only participate in this sport, but to have these kind of people around you that believe in you and spend this much time with you. So yeah, I'm really grateful to everyone that I have in my life.
Wonderful. Well, Mel, I really enjoyed speaking with you. I'm sure you're going to have a fantastic fight this weekend. I know all Canada and Australia is going to be rooting for you. Best of luck, kick some butt, and we will talk to you soon.
Thank you.
All right, there you go, fight friends. Mel Zeman fighting in Albuquerque this weekend.